Actually, if you say 5 years, 5 years, to be specific, it's like 1823 days. 5 years like it seems a very small thing to say for me or for anyone out there, but it's like when you count like days, 1823 days has been passed. He's sleeping alone. He has no one to talk. He has no one to share his feelings with. At times he become ill. At times he feel low. At times he needs some person to share his feelings with. It's all about life. He's getting that thing that I'm in jail and I have to face the repercussion because I fought against the system. I fought against the cruelty of government. So it's obvious he has that understanding, but at the same time, at times he feel sad about the judiciary, sad about the people out there who is like not supporting this cause for like those people who are behind the bar. They are not pushing it so hard. So he at times he feels sad about it as well. Like we have filed a bail in Delhi High Court back in 2022 in the month of April, and it has been almost 3 years past, and 70 bail hearings has been postponed and 7 benches has been changed, but even till now our bail hearing has not been concluded in the High Court, even after this saying is so common from the Supreme Court that bail is rule and jail is exception.
It has been 5 years since Sharjeel Imam, a PhD scholar from JNU, was arrested for 30-second clip of his speech he delivered during the anti-CAA protest. This is Shaheen Abdullah and you are listening to Khakiland, stories of policing Muslims in India. In this episode, we look into how the state framed Sharjeel Imam, one of the brightest minds from the Muslim community and the man behind Shaheen Bagh protest. In this episode, we speak to his lawyer, Ahmed Ibrahim, and his brother, Muzzammil Imam.
And even Supreme Court talks about Article 21, that how a person should get bail. It talks about his right, but it's all in the books, and no one is actually doing the right thing even in judiciary these days. That is concern actually.
The whole case against him are the speeches he delivered. There is nothing against him apart from these speeches. Even if you go through the speeches, they are taken completely out of context for the purposes of this prosecution. Because in his speeches only, we have highlighted it and we have repeatedly mentioned it before the different judges also, that in his speech, at least 15 to 20 times, he is asking the people to not pick up arms. He is asking the people to be there, and there will be instances where you will be beaten by the police, but you have to stand your ground. You have to be there. You don't have to take the violent part. And then a statement comes in the speech which is completely not in consonance of the other portions of the speech, where he says in a joking manner. If you see that video also, where which was circulated, he is saying that असम को काट के अलग कर देना होगा, इतना मवाद डालो कि कोई जा ही ना पाए, जाने दो उन्हें एयरफोर्स लेकर, and he smiles after that.
The case against Sharjeel Imam stems from a speech he delivered at Aligarh Muslim University, urging people to block the road that connects India from its North Indian states. He has been advocating for such roadblocks to ensure that the state will be forced to listen to Muslims in the country. And the idea of roadblocks or Chakka Jam was not a new thing to India.
The main prosecution which has been initiated against him in this case and the other cases, which all originate from the speeches, they are all baseless, because no investigating officer has applied his mind to understand the context, and honestly no judge has given a thought as to what happened after the speech, because there are a number of judgments of the Supreme Court which has explained what terrorist act is and what is actually to be seen in case where sedition or UAPA provisions are there. Over a period of time, it has all been diluted. The sedition law was so colonial and archaic that it had to be repealed, and there is a complete stay on the sedition law. But the problem is that exactly the same provision is there in UAPA for unlawful activity, and now only the police has to register the FIR. Apart from sedition, they have to mention UAPA. It becomes more stringent than sedition, and in sedition there was punishment 3 years up to life, but in UAPA there is no punishment which is less than 7 years. So it has not really helped the people, but it will subsequently be understood that this is a big problem, that the same provision has been incorporated in the UAPA, and now more and more people are being charged under UAPA. Honestly, the invocation of UAPA should have been restricted to only offences which can actually fall under the definition of Terrorist Act, but that is not the case, unfortunately.
Obviously, as a family, first of all, as a family, it affects me a lot. But apart from that, being a family, apart from Sharjeel, I'm the only one who can take care of my mother. So at the time when I was working and I was my own thing to do as an individual, I have my own work to do. But post Sharjeel Bhai's arrest, I've left everything. Actually, I have no job to do. It's not like that I will not get it or I'm not doing it. But the thing is that I cannot do that. I cannot do it actually, because I have to see the case, I have to see my mother, I have to see my family things. So it is not possible for me to work and go from one place to another place like for the longer period, because my mother becomes ill. She started thinking, she started crying. There are many things I have to handle. So that is the reason like my life has gone too messy post his arrest. But still, it's all about brotherhood, and I have to face it, because it's all about family, and you cannot deny. If as a family I cannot support him, then who else will support him for his cause? And if it's not about his cause only, it's about my cause. It's about everyone's cause who is actually thinking about the society and community. Actually, if you talk about Sharjeel Imam's journey before going to jail, so first thing I want to clarify that Sharjeel Imam was the person who actually never wanted to enter politics directly. My father was into politics, and like post his demise, he actually wanted me to join politics and continue the legacy. So I eventually asked him that why don't you want to join politics or do anything like that? So he said, I will continue with my studies and I will go for the research and also. So it was actually never planned that Sharjeel Bhai will ever join politics. But his destiny made him do that actually.
Before joining JNU, Sharjeel was working as a software engineer.
Actually, the thing was that when Sharjeel Bhai was in IIT, even at that time, he was more into books. Like apart from computer science book, he's a computer engineer, software engineer. So obviously, he had to study software, like computer-based books. But apart from that, he used to read his history a lot. Even at that time, like in different languages and history all around the world. So that was the reason he got more interest in history, and post completing his IIT, he actually went to work like in Bangalore for Juniper Limited as a software engineer, and later down the line, I think he worked over there for 2 years. Then later on, he was having a conversation with my father, like my late father, and he was like, "Abu, I want to quit the job and I want to study more, and I want to become like history researcher scholar, something like that." My father told him like, okay, you can quit the job and do whatever you want to do and pursue your studies. I don't have any problem with that. Then after that, Sharjeel Bhai gave the examination for masters in modern history, and he took admission in JNU. And then later on, he continued his MPhil in modern history. Then at present, before going to jail, he was pursuing his PhD in modern history.
Sharjeel Imam's PhD was about communal rights and cow slaughter in early 20th century colonial India. In charge sheet and several appeal that is meant to obstruct his bail application, Delhi police has accused of him reading books that is radical and against India. This includes books by international scholars who worked on political violence in India.
Sharjeel Bhai sent a note to one of his friends, like a letter, 10-15 page note, even where he was talking about like how he actually started his journey from IIT to JNU, and where he actually mentioned that what made him think more about like Indian politics, and that a topic which he has chosen actually for his uh, dissertation or like PhD in MPhil or like anything like that. So he actually told me that his father politics and his father thought process kind of very much influenced his like thoughts regarding this society and the political system like in India. Actually, even in that letter, he was quoting his father, like my father actually, even like where my Abu told Sharjeel when he was ill and he was on bed actually, he was undergoing cancer treatment back in 2014, and at that time Modi government came into power with absolute majority. Then my father, my brother Sharjeel Imam was watching TV together in the hospital. My father told actually Sharjeel कि बेटे तुम बाहर चले जाओ फर्दर स्टडीज़ के लिए, हिंदुस्तान में रहना बेहतर नहीं है, रहोगे तो शायद अगर तुम पॉलिटिक्स ज्वाइन करते हो तो सर्वाइव करोगे, एल्स यू विल गो टू जेल. दीज वर द वर्ड्स जो मेरे my father actually told Sharjeel. But Sharjeel is actually writing these things in his letter which he has sent today, and he was telling that I actually didn't thought and didn't understand actually what my father was telling me and what he was trying to say actually at that time. But at present I can say that he was like, he was right and he actually judged it on the right time.
Sharjeel was a very impulsive person. I remember meeting him on the day Babri verdict came out. Across the nation there was complete silence. There was a state-imposed silence from the Muslim community against the verdict. And now there was this guy who had called for a protest gathering inside JNU campus. Even though Sharjeel had all the right to hold that protest, it was abnormal for the time where everybody was silenced by the state or self-censored by the fear of crackdown by the Modi government. He always spoke with great clarity and conviction, drawing parallels from history books and scholarly work. So then when CAA was introduced by the BJP government, Sharjeel and his friends started to organize protests inside the campus. Then he started to reach out to Jamia Millia Islamia and Aligarh Muslim University, asked the student leaders from these universities to have a combined, unified front line against the new amendment of the citizenship law. And when the attack on Jamia Millia Islamia and Aligarh Muslim University happened on 15th December 2019, he turned to this locality in Jamia Nagar called Shaheen Bagh, where people had gathered for a one-day protest. Addressing the crowd on that day, he told them that they need to force the government to listen to them.
When he went for a namaz in Shaheen Bagh, Okla, then he met few of his friends from Jamia, and they were discussing about a protest that they should organize a protest in Shaheen Bagh as well post Jamia. So actually they planned to just a one-day protest at that time. Like later on, but it was a Sharjeel's plain child that he started talking about sitting and blocking roads of Shaheen Bagh, so that government should like focus on them and start listening to their issues. And after that, everything was a history and people know about it very well.
Shaheen Bagh soon became a sensation across the country. These protests were largely led by Muslim women. With the success of Shaheen Bagh, Sharjeel Imam started to travel across North India and started to gather people around to stage similar protest. Weeks later, he actually had a fallout with some of the people who were in the forefront of Shaheen Bagh protest. Nevertheless, he continued to advocate for roadblocks across the country to force the government to scrap CAA.
So when I used to call my mother, and he used to tell day by day, like a schedule about his protest and his speeches and everything which actually he was doing at that time. So my mother was concerned. She just used to say that ki don't go much deep, don't speak a lot. Reason being, she was concerned and she was like कि तुम्हें कोई नुकसान पहुंचा देगा, इस तरह की चीजें. So that was the reason she was, as a mother, she has her concern regarding Sharjeel's safety, but at the same time she was saying that कि he is doing the right thing and Allah इसकी हिफाजत करेगा. My mother was like that. Actually, the thing was that I actually first saw that video, and I first thing I did after watching that video, I called Sharjeel bhai and I told him, bhai, इस video को हटा दो. Just ask the person who had uploaded it to remove it from the social media. That would be a better thing. Unless even before Sambit Patra or some other, I don't know who was that political leader who actually uploaded it, that 30 seconds clip. But I was the first person who actually saw that video, and I just asked Sharjeel bhai isko take it down. So Sharjeel bhai was like, don't take it don't take it so like actually it was, according to him, it was out of context. He never thought that it will be framed like that and he will be charged for sedition. He was like, don't take it so seriously, it's just a speech, and if you're talking about it, then it is out of context. If people will listen the whole speech, they will understand what I am actually talking about. It's all about Chakajam. But he wasn't aware, and like he has nothing in that his mind at that time that it can be a seditious thing for few people around this country. So he wasn't actually aware about it. So it was just a normal speech given by a person amongst the like student scholars for in some campus university, something like that.
I met him during the Shaheen Bagh protest because I used to live in Shaheen Bagh, and when the whole protest started, then one day when I was taking a stroll there near the protest site, I met Sharjeel along with other JNU students. They were discussing how to get attention of people, what we can do here, how to make this protest worth it, and things like this. That's when I met him through someone, and then we became friends. Then we started meeting up.
What triggered into the arrest of Sharjeel Imam? And can you give a sequence of events that led to 5 FIRs?
Yeah. No. So at present there are 8 FIRs, but first we have to talk about the main speech because of which all of this started against him. So this speech was delivered on 16th of January 2020 in AMU when he was called there by students in AMU. He had gone there, given a speech. There were not more than 20-25 students there. He gave the speech before such a small crowd there, and somebody must have uploaded it online. It eventually garnered attention on 25th of January because that's the day when he shared a 39-second clip on Twitter. Somebody had posted there, and in that clip only a small portion of the over 1 hour 10-minute speech was there, in which he was asking for a complete roadblock in the northeastern states. So immediately, without understanding the context of that statement, without trying to even go through what he is saying there or where was this speech delivered, what was happening, immediately 5 FIRs are registered in 5 states: Delhi, UP, Manipur, Arunachal and Assam. And by the 26th of January, that is within 24 hours of this tweet or this part of the speech getting viral, there are 5 FIRs against him, and he is declared as a secessionist across media platforms. Everywhere, everybody is talking about Sharjeel as somebody who is anti-national, anti-India and things like this.
The 5 cases are charged under
In the Delhi FIR, UAPA sections were there. No, in the Assam and Arunachal, UAPA sections were there. Apart from that, there was no UAPA section in any of the FIRs. Mostly the FIRs were registered under 153A, 153B, 195. These are all sections which are there for hate speech. essentially. So UAPA was in Assam and Arunachal Pradesh, and interestingly, these are the two states where charge sheets were not filed even after arrest, and so he got default bail in both the places. UAPA sections were added in the Delhi FIR on the 88th day of his arrest, and this is important because within 90 days one has to file the charge sheet in normal offences. In UAPA offences, the time period is 180 days. So if the charge sheet is not filed by the 90th day, he would have gotten default bail like Assam and Arunachal. But because because the section of UAPA was invoked in the FIR, that's why the period got extended to 180 days. Apart from that, in Manipur and UP, no UAPA sections were invoked ever, even till date. So, yeah, that's it.
You're talking about 26th of
Yeah.
January.
So 26th of January, he's all over the media because of that speech which went viral. And on 28th, he surrenders. Basically, he spoke to me. He told me that he wanted to surrender because this whole thing is disproportionate and it was taken out of context. He wanted to explain these things, and that's why he wanted to join the investigation, get himself arrested if that was required. And that's why he contacted me. He told me that I want to appear before the law and I want to surrender before the Delhi police. So he was in his hometown, at his home only. The police had not gone there in his search. But everywhere in the media it was being shown that he has absconded, he has run away. So I go there to his hometown, and while we were coming to the airport on our way back, we are intercepted by a team of Bihar police. And then they start thinking that what can be done now, because there was no FIR in Bihar. So then he's shown arrest there and he's taken to the local magistrate, and then the next day he is brought to Delhi, and on the 29th he is arrested by the Delhi police formally.
So actually we were waiting for lawyers, and they actually had a flight on 28th morning, and they actually came down here like on 28th I think afternoon, after all this surrender thing happened. But in between, on the 28th morning, around 5 a.m, actually they picked me up again, and I was like living in my friend's house, and they picked me in again, and they actually took me in the car, and they took me into like Greenfield, and they were like they asked me to run, and when I said I'm not gonna run, so just they took out their pistol, and they just put their pistol cock in my mouth, and they were like yelling at me, and they were saying, should I shoot you, I will do encounter, something like that. So I said that if you wanna shoot me, then you can shoot me, but I don't know actually where Sharjeel is. Then after that they again picked me up, and they just closed my eyes with like some black, I don't know, black scarf or something, what actually it was, and they pushed me in the car, and they then took me to another torture center actually, which is out of actually it's on bypass, and it's out of I think city, we can say that. And there they made me sit on floor, and they started questioning me, where is Sharjeel? But I was like, I don't know, I think he will be surrendering today or tomorrow, he's just waiting for the lawyers, give him some time, he will surrender. I was just like talking these things to them. Then all of a sudden they were like, take off your clothes. So I told them that's I'm not wearing undergarments or anything like that, so I was sleeping, I just came out. So they were like, hey, we know that's why we want you to take off your clothes, and we will film it, and we will upload it on social media in different places, etc, etc. They were using these things, they were using different slurs, and they were abusing me. And actually it happened all day until my brother surrendered around 3 or 4 I think PM on 28th of January 2020 with his lawyers actually.
Before going into what happens in this pattern and how it's done, it's very important to understand that UAPA sections being invoked in a speech is very unusual. because UAPA sections are essentially for the punishment for the terrorist acts, and the section 15 of the UAPA explains what a terrorist act is. A terrorist act is some act which causes such immense threat or danger in the eyes of public at large that it even tries to overawe the government of the state. So something of that nature is generally used to be considered as something that is a terrorist act, and all the sections which are invoked against him or other people in this case is also such acts which were earlier invoked, where there used to be bombing or mass killing or things of such nature, where the security and integrity of the nation is compromised. If an FIR is registered against you, even if it is for murder, even if it is for rape or POXO, then you have to be arrested. It is upon the discretion of the police officer who is investigating the case. If he feels that it is required, because either you will not cooperate, you will run away, or you will not just be there for the trial, then he can arrest you. Otherwise, there is no mandatory requirement to arrest anybody. So what happens generally in India in the recent past is that if any Muslim leader or activist, or even a cleric for that matter, gives a speech which seems to be provocative, or if he gives a provocative speech, because we are nobody to judge whether something is provocative or non-provocative. It is even if one person feels that it is on divisive lines and this is communal in nature, and in that case he can get an FIR registered. Now the police comes there, and if the police feels that this person should be arrested, then they can arrest him. Then there are examples of other people who have given speeches who are not from the Muslim community. They have not been arrested in a lot of cases. There is the example of this Haryana Sadhu, Yati Narsinghanand, and there are many others who are not arrested, and FIRs are registered against them, but this discretion has to be checked. And this is the main concern which I feel is there, and it's aggravating also because there are so many cases where people from a particular community are arrested, and for similar offences there may be 10 FIRs also, people are not being arrested.
Apart from the 5 FIR related to the speech, Sharjeel was later booked for 2 FIR related to Jamia violence that happened in December 2019. Then came the bizarre part. He was arrested for the larger conspiracy case related to Delhi pogrom that happened a month after his arrest.
There are a total of 8 cases against him. The five cases were the speech related cases which were registered on the first day. Then he was implicated in 3 more cases which were already registered and going on in Delhi. And subsequently in the supplementary charge sheet stage he was added because these cases were of Jamia, and in these Jamia cases also his name was added as an accused because his name got highlighted after his arrest. So out of these 8 cases he has been granted bail by the concerned courts in 7, and only 1 case is pending where his bail is still pending before the High Court. This is the Delhi riots conspiracy case where all the other people are arrested. So to that the prosecution must have understood that it won't be possible to implicate him if he is for the past 1 month he has been in custody. So the prosecution has brought up a whole new story that the conspiracy for the riots were in 4 stages, and the first stage was in November when CAA bill was passed and this Babri Masjid judgment had come.
December the CAA bill was
yes. So November the conspiracy started. In December they fructified and they started this Shaheen Bagh protest and small protests across India. In January, more and more such protest sites were started, and these were the people who were mastermind behind those protest sites. and in the fourth and final execution stage, the riots were to take place. So this is how the prosecution has made this story, saying that it was done in 4 stages, and because Sharjeel was arrested in the 3rd stage, he could not actually physically be present for the 4th stage, but he was a part of the conspiracy. And now the funny thing about conspiracy is that this section 18 of the UAPA, this is the punishment for conspiracy to commit a terrorist act. Now when you say that the prosecution is required to show evidence of there being any conspiracy, the prosecution comes back and says that it's impossible to find any evidence of the conspiracy because it's a common knowledge that conspiracy is hatched in secrecy. So by the acts at least they should be able to show anything. In this case, if you see that not only he was in custody for the past 25-26 days before the Delhi riots took place, he had never been in touch with any of the co-accused persons in this case, not even Umar Khalid. So the prosecution story says that Umar was his mentor and he was following the directions of Umar Khalid to start these protests. Somebody who knows Sharjeel personally would know that his ideology and Umar Khalid's ideology are completely different. They never interacted even when both of them were in JNU. They had their own ideological differences, and this story that he was his mentor, he was his prodigy, whatever, everything has to be established by the prosecution. It cannot be the case that they come and say that look, these 3 people were working in conspiracy, but there is no evidence because obviously conspiracy is hatched in secrecy. If there is no conversation between the 2 people, if there is not even a single message exchange between them, if there are no common groups between these people, if they have not interacted through social media platforms with each other, it has to be taken as an evidence that they were not in touch. Then how can there be a conspiracy? Not only Umar Khalid, Sharjeel is the only person in this whole case who had no interaction with any of the other co-accused persons. So these things should have been seen by the prosecuting agency, but that is not the case here, because if you see the charge sheet, I'll show you the charge sheet. In the charge sheet, the whole story has been written as a novel and only flowery words are used. And as a defense counsel, I can tell you that a charge sheet is the result of the investigation. Whatever the investigating officer finds during the inquiry or investigation, he compiles it, all the documents, all the statements, and then on the basis of the evidence, that is the documentary evidence as well as the oral evidence, he gives his opinion that on the basis of such and such facts and documents and circumstances, I believe that this is the case against this person and these sections can be invoked. So that's how a charge sheet ought to be made. But in this case, from the very first sentence, it has been mentioned that Sharjeel Imam was an extremist who wanted to do something against India, and that's how he met Umar Khalid, and they both started doing this and that. It's like a complete story which they had already prepared, and they wanted to fit in a few evidences and the statements to make sure that this story sails through.
Since when is this bail application pending?
So interestingly, this bail application has been pending since April 2022 before the High Court itself. It was pending before the trial court for 8 months before that. There has been 64 dates in which either adjournment has been sought, or the judges were not ready for the arguments, or because of paucity of time, the matter got adjourned 64 times. During this time, 3 times it has happened that complete arguments have been heard, but the order could not be passed. The judges have changed or something or the other happened, but 7 benches have changed. Some judges have recused from the matter, and so as on date, now it has been 64 dates of hearing. But now on the last date also, when the matter was listed for final disposal, a time was fixed. Then also the bench got changed, and now again when the matter will be listed, it will be before a new bench. So that's why we have moved a writ petition before the Supreme Court, where we have sought two of the reliefs, saying that either direct the High Court to expedite the matter and decide it within 1 week, within 1 month, whatever be the outcome, it has to be decided, because it's almost more than 2.5 years that bail application has been pending.
Actually, she can meet, but she never wanted to meet him. Actually, post his arrest, she always like just watch him by video call. I most of the time I asked her to, like, if you wanna go and meet him, we can go. She's like, no, I don't want to meet him, because if I'll meet him, I will cry and I cannot leave him behind. If I'll go, I will take him along with me. So that is the reason she don't want to go and meet him for 10-15 minutes and leave him alone back in that hell. You were saying, you actually answered your question yourself, like jail cannot be favorable to anyone out there, like who is like, even like, it doesn't matter how educated you are, how good you are, but jail cannot be favorable to anyone. But obviously, but I can still believe, and I still feel that Sharjeel is actually having much better good time than other co-prisoners, like, because Sharjeel is the one who actually fights for everything. He actually files a case regarding everything. When they try to suppress him, they try to like just harm him through any of their, like, I think any of their actions, he always go to court and he always file an application for the same. So I think he has that understanding regarding judiciary and regarding jail manual, that he can actually fight for it. But I feel like that there are many people out there, like, who are even co-accused in his particular cases. They are facing much bad time in jail, and Sharjeel is having good time because he has he has books with him always, and he loves it a lot. He loves reading a lot. He can read the like whole day, whole night, and he can talk to people about his readings and his like thought process regarding that particular book. So he is having his good time with books. Apart from that, I obviously you won't be getting good food or good like behave like atmosphere and family atmosphere over there. So that is the hardest time one have to face. But he is having good time with his books, I can say that. Just a ray of hope for him, like, that is making him like stay and lively, I think.
And if you talk about Sharjeel's arrest and post that, how people reacted to it, I still remember those days, like when people actually feel like took Sharjeel as an untouchable person, and they don't want to talk about him, they don't want to write about him. A number of people who claim to be a Muslim activist, even who claim to be a coordinator of Shaheen Bagh, who claim to be a person who was like very much active in Shaheen Bagh, they actually made a distance from Sharjeel and his like closeness to them. They showed that they actually don't know him. So that period, I've gone through that period, and it was like not a it was like a failure. Actually, it's not about my brother, that like Sharjeel Imam is my brother. That's why I'm saying, because if they would have supported Sharjeel, I think that there would not been as like many arrests post Sharjeel's arrest. If they would have shown courage and they would have stood up for Sharjeel, then the state would have like faced a setback like regarding the arrest of Muslim activists. But after Sharjeel's arrest, they got to know that these people are not reacting, so we can do more arrest. I think that they just wanted to make Sharjeel an example, and after that, everything which happened post Sharjeel's arrest, like continuous arresting has been done. So if we would have like reacted in a different manner as a community, as a society, then I think result would have been a different as of now.
Your mother and Sharjeel, like, it's just normal mother and son conversation. What you ate, how are you doing? You're looking thin, दाढ़ी बढ़ गई, beard has grown, just go to barber and like just groom yourself. You need clothes, you need blanket, what you are eating, take care of yourself.
and family things like she got married, he got married, about family, like some if someone is ill, then my mother tells that thing to him. If there's some casualty happen in the family, like she used to share that. Even like if you talk about my conversation with my brother, half of the time we fight, and half of the time we talk on some issues, but half of the time we fight on different issues, like even on call. So my mom pushes me like he's in jail and why are you fighting with him? Pagal ho kya? Bahar nikalne do to ladna. So see, it's like these kind of conversation actually happens. I don't know how people will react to it or believe it or not, but I can say that thing, that I haven't felt anything like that till now. I haven't seen him low for the purpose that he's not getting justice as of now. He feels sad for the system, but he's not low, because he told me that I am aware that if I'm going to challenge the system, if I'm going to challenge the state and their wrongdoings, then obviously I have to face the repercussion. And it's not about BJP is doing it. Any government who will stay in power, they always want to crush the dissent and crush the new ideas, political ideas. So it's like a basic thing one government can do and will be doing with, like, it's not the thing like I will be the last. I'm not the first person, and I will not be the last person. So he always talks about these things.
There are a few judgments by the Supreme Court which have come in the recent past, which says that speedy trial is a part of your fundamental right, and delay in trial directly infringes your fundamental right. That's why you are entitled to bail solely on the ground of delay in trial. So there is a judgment of Javed Ghulam Nabi Sheikh versus State of Maharashtra, which has been passed by the Supreme Court. In that case, the accused had been in custody for 4 years and the trial had not started. So the Supreme Court granted bail solely on this ground only. So we are expecting that maybe the Supreme Court can show the same leniency towards him also.
In terms of his situation, how is he doing now? Because he was a research scholar at that point of time,
Yeah.
and he was completing his MPhil,
PhD.
How is he doing? What is happening with him?
Obviously, for the first 1 year, 1.5 year, he was not able to understand what is happening, what is going through him, and he was expecting that he'll come out soon, because that was the idea. Everybody thought this only, because before the Delhi riots took place, or that 59 of 2020 got registered, and subsequently people started getting arrested under the UAPA sections. The sections which were invoked were general IPC sections, and the maximum punishment in those sections are 3 years. So in these cases, generally what happens, that even if somebody is arrested, then they come out within a couple of months at best, and because after 1.5 years, mandatorily they'll have to be released, because the law prescribes that once you complete half the punishment of the maximum prescribed punishment and the trial is still ongoing, you will be released from the jail. So his idea was that he'll be in jail for say 6-8 months and then come out, but nobody knew that such provisions of the UAPA will be invoked where the punishment is up to life. So effectively there is no half sentence also. So that's why once he understood that what is going on, how it's going to be, it will take him at least 3-4 years to come out, then he was at ease. Then he started studying. He learned 7 new languages inside the jail. Every month he reads at least 4 to 5 books. So like last year he was reading a lot on quantum physics, mechanics, and mathematics, different books on mathematics. Then before that he learned German, and the manner in which he learns any new language is that he'll ask for a dictionary, and after going through the dictionary he'll ask for simple books in simpler languages. Then he reads them. If there's any doubt, he'll refer to the dictionary. and then more difficult books, and then finally he'll have complete understanding of that particular subject. So in jail he has learned Persian, then German, Assamese, Bengali, and little bit of French, and one or two more languages. So this is how he used to spend his time mostly. Apart from that, he helped a lot of people in the jail, because many of them who had no idea that they could get bail, who had no money to afford a lawyer, and there are people who completed more than half their sentences, their matters are pending. So he used to ask me that this guy is there, can you help him out? So this way we got at least 10-12 people released from the jail, and many others who he used to help by going through their charge sheets and then discussing the issues with me. But for the past 6-8 months I have seen that he is quite restless, and now he is saying that it's enough, it has been a very long time now, I want to come out, I want to pursue my course further, and things like this. He is also quite restless nowadays because of the increasing incidents of violence inside the jail, because a few months back somebody was killed inside the jail, which was in his jail only, and then there have been repeated incidents of people attacking each other, and incidents of violence while
Have he been attacked?
once. This was, I believe, in 2023, 22 or 23. So he has been subjected to some incidents of harassments here and there, but it was never physical ever. But on this date, what had happened, that because see what happens, that whenever there is the change in staff, or the assistant superintendent or deputy superintendent or the superintendent changes, and they don't, till the time they don't know him, they have this idea and perception that Sharjeel Imam is that radicalized person who is extremely well read but anti-national, things like this. So they try to punish him a little here and there, get sudden raids in his cell, and so one such incident happened where 8-10 people came to his cell. They started throwing his books here and there, and
These are prison guards or
no, these are inmates, other inmates. So what is generally the practice is that the inmates who are there for a very long time, they help out these officers in search and raids. So these people come there and they started harassing him. They started throwing his clothes and books on the floor, to which he came out. He started shouting, asking for help. One of them, so they surround him, and one of them hit him on his head, and while they make a circle, a couple of punches are also landed on him during this time. So he informed me about this. The very next day I moved an application before the court. The jail authorities were called and they were asked to give a reply. They obviously denied it, but what we did there was we asked them to give an affidavit of the same, that nothing has happened, because we were quite certain that things have happened like this. Then on the next date of hearing, we convinced the judge that you call for the CCTV of the jail wherever this incident happened. So in the beginning they were hesitant. They were saying that you cannot ask for the CCTV, but the judge decided, and the judge called for the CCTV. In the CCTV video, it was clear that whatever we have mentioned, nothing was exaggerated, and exactly things like this had happened. So then the jail superintendent and the jail authorities took a back foot, and then they said that we'll make sure that this doesn't happen anymore, and apologized from him. And after that, things have been better in jail for him, because we in a way saved the superintendent from a lot of problem, and prosecution, because he had in fact lied on oath in the affidavit. So that was the understanding Sharjeel had reached with them, that we will not initiate any criminal proceedings against you. You make sure that nothing of this sort happens again.
To be frank, Shaheen Bhai, we are not going to get justice in current scenario, because if how can they provide justice to us even after 3-4 years if they'll say that we were innocent and police did a wrong thing to us? So how they are going to give us back those 5-6-7 years which they have wasted? How they are going to give that 5-6 years to Sharjeel, precious years of Sharjeel, when he would have been completing his PhD, he would have been going to London for his further studies. How they can pay him those years back? So justice cannot be served to us in any point of time or at any cost, because they cannot take Sharjeel back to 2020, where he was young and he was pursuing his PhD and he was free, and you cannot actually give him that time back. But apart from that, if you'll talk about this legal procedure and legal issues, then I think inshallah he will be getting out soon, in a month or two. I think most probably this hearing will be concluded in the month of February, and by the end of February we can expect order to be out in public, and I think he can be out after that, inshallah.
In the 5 years he spent in jail, Sharjeel has written multiple times for Maktoob Media, and you can read them on our website maktoobmedia.com. With Sharjeel began the arrest of Muslim activists who were on the front lines of anti-CAA protest across the country. We will be discussing all of it in the later episodes of Khakiland. Thank you for listening. This episode have been produced by me, Shaheen Abdullah, and the music you're listening are licensed from Envato.